Hey guys, as per usual, when we enter October, what I've formed a new habit where I've gone back and I've watched some of the most iconic Halloween films that I kind of just let slip past me for reasons that I'm a movie snob. I'm very critical of my movies. So these movies are extremely popular with the general audience, but for me, being the critical guy that I am, I just skipped them, and I shouldn't have. There were some movies that I've watched that were okay. In the past, I've watched what was it, Child's Play. I watched that, and it was okay. I gave Nightmare on Elm Street another try, and I even did a video for that. Man, that was a stinker. That was a stinker. It is extremely popular with the general audience, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. Oh, I did try Hellraiser too. Hellraiser it had good concepts. I saw where it was going, but in its execution, it was a cheaper budget film, so it kind of showed forth in the final product that we got. So I there's a lot of great streaming movies out there right now, guys. If you want to get into the holiday spirit, it's extremely easy to do, and it's free. There's a lot of stuff being offered on these free streaming channels, Tubi and Peacock, and even Pluto have got some really good Halloween movies that you guys can get into the spirit of the Halloween with. The one that I picked out today, there was a bunch of them that I kind of considered. I almost watched, and I may watch it in the future, is The Fog, John Carpenter's The Fog. I am a huge fan of John Carpenter because of The Thing. He's done some movies like Halloween. It's okay. It's okay. It was one of his first films, and it was made in an extremely cheap budget, so it kind of suffered because of that. The Fog, starring Jamie Lee Curtis again, is another one of his iconic movies that I know I've seen on TV. I've seen the TV edited version of that movie. It's been years. It's been literally decades since I've seen that movie. So I considered watching that. But there was one on Peacock that I really, when I saw it being offered free on the streaming service, I totally knew that one was the one I had to watch, and it's Friday the 13th, the original one, the one that started it, the one that introduced us to Jason. I know it's going to be cheap. I've even looked up the score on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's a 60%. But again, I want to experience these movies that are extremely popular with the general populace. I want to see these movies and try to understand how they got their iconic status, how they became the classics of the yesteryear. So that's a movie I'm going to watch tonight. Again, going to do it in my own personal theater. And I'm going to be back in just a few seconds to let you know what I think about Friday the 13th. All right, see you, bye. Hey guys, I just got done watching a movie, and so one would actually ask why this movie franchise became so popular. And then the other side of that coin, one would argue that it really never got all that popular. It was kind of on the fringe. And I kind of have an idea, a theory, and why it became so popular, which I'm about to share with you right now. It came out in 1980. I was 11 years old, and I remember going to, would that be? That would be junior high, right? I remember going to junior high and people talking about this movie, and just like, it was kind of like the locker room talk amongst us guys. Hey, who saw this gore movie? Hey, who had cool parents that let us go see this super gory movie? Which, for its time, yes, it was probably considered super gory. And the only reason why it was super gory was a lot of the violence was on screen. It wasn't like kept in the shadows like its predecessors would do. Movies like Faces of Death or even like It Lives Our movies were marketed to the young audience, the ones that were inexperienced in the ways of good story. So that was why these movies were popular. The violence was purposely put on that screen to entice the younger viewing audience to go see these movies. Now, was this movie with the exclusion of these very grisly and very graphic, this very graphic violence on the screen, was it worth watching it? In this case, no. Just a real quick summary of the plot. We have Crystal Lake, which was a campground that befell a really tragic accident where a young boy was drowned. Then a year later, 2 camp counselors were viciously killed. And then you found out that they were viciously killed on purpose by this mother of Jason Voorhees, the kid that drowned in that lake in like the 1950s. Flash forward to 1980. And we have some camp counselors that are trying to bring this campground up to par to get it ready for the summer, the oncoming summer. And one by one, they're picked off by this mysterious stranger who we only saw in like the first-person view, and not until the end did we find out it was actually his mother that was killing everyone. And the reason why she was killing him was because she was slightly crazy and thought that if she kept continually killing these camp counselors, they would have to be forced to shut down the camp year after year after year. And she was pretty successful at it, actually. But, okay, so here's the problems with the movie is that we only got that story of the mother killing all these camp counselors in the third act. We didn't know anything about the story from the beginning. I mean, they hinted towards it, and they're like, hey, did you hear about the kid drowning? Hey, did you hear about the camp counselors that got killed at the year after that? But we were never introduced to that character, that mother character, until the third act. And then we just had to play catch up and then kind of like swallowed the rest of the story and believed the motivation of this mother. Other than that, we had like a handful of camp counselors that were secluded like maybe 20 miles outside of town. And they, we got no stories behind them. We didn't understand who these people were. We were basically, from the very beginning, we were given some, like a teeny bit of exposition. This is a haunted camp, or it's a cursed camp. And then we had a series of shots that were just like, here's a teenager, watch them panic and then see them die. Here's another teenager, watch that teenager panic and watch that person die. And it just went on for 5 camp counselors until they died. We never got any of that smartly written dialogue or any of that character development in this Friday the 13th movie. We just saw them die. Just set up the next premise and die. Set up the next premise and die. And it became very repetitive and added nothing to the story. We only got that third act where we finally learned that it was Jason's mother who was going around killing these camp counselors. And then, so at the end, it was just an exercise in showing us grisly ways a teenager could die. And maybe a bare boob here and there. But it was not worth it. That movie was given a 60%. I think that's really generous on the Rotten Tomato meter. I would not give it that. I would give it probably a 25%. And the only reason for that 25% is, yes, this movie came out and it had a lot of no-name actors in it. Just so happens one of them got lucky and got really famous and went on to have a very lucrative career in the acting field, and that would be Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon was in this movie. He made it halfway through the movie before he got an arrow through the chest. And that's the only notable actor in this movie. Yeah, 25%. It's about the best I'm going to give this movie. Guys, that's it. You know what? I might actually come back and give you some more reviews. Again, we have a couple more horror films that I wouldn't mind seeing. The Mist, believe it or not, I've seen a lot of the John Carpenter movies. The Thing being my favorite of those. They Live is a guilty pleasure. It's not a great movie, but it's a guilty pleasure of mine. I wouldn't mind seeing The Mist again. So maybe tomorrow or the next day after that, I will be back to let you know what I think about The Mist. But other than that, guys, hey, I wish everybody peace. Montanay, I'll talk to you guys later, and goodbye. Bye.